All right, so I'm going to go over graphing trigonometric functions, and I'm going to go over three examples, starting with the most basic one, and then working our way up to like more difficult ones. So first we have the equation where we have the function g of x is equal to 4 times the cosine of x. So remember the general form of a trigonometric function. So we can have y equals a times the cosine in this case, because we're dealing with cosine. So y equals a times the cosine of b times x minus h plus k outside the parentheses. So we have an a, b, h, and k, four possibilities for those parameters. Here we only got to worry about the a, because all we have is the 4 there. So a is 4. And what that does is it changes the amplitude from 1 to 4. So the amplitude is equal to 4. That's essentially just like the height of it. The height of the graph is just 4 units tall. So going down here, what may help at first is just to graph the original cosine graph so you can see what I mean and compare it side by side. So the original cosine graph, starts at 0, 1, and goes to pi over 2, 0, pi comma negative 1, 3 pi over 2 comma 0, and 2 pi comma 1. This is the original cosine graph. Parent won't say. So this y equals just the cosine of x. Let's label these points A, B, C, D, E. Now, when we have an amplitude of 4, all you're really doing is making the graph 4 units tall. So you're stretching it vertically. So instead of the A being here, you're going to have A prime over here at 4. To see the height from here to here, from here to the origin or from the horizontal line axes, we call this the midline, amplitude is 4. 4-way. So then A prime will be over here. B will stay the same because it's just going to be 0-way still. The C will go down all the way to negative 4 because it's going to be 4 away in the opposite direction. So we're going to have C prime over here. D will still stay at 0. E, yep, instead of it being a 1, I know what you're going to say. It's going to be a 4. This is what our transform graph would look like. Same period. Starting at the same 0. It's just going to be 4 units tall. Graph y equals 4 times the cosine of x. So basic one. Let's move on to another graph where we have to do more than one simple transformation. So here we got the equation h of x equals 2 times the sine of x minus pi over 2 plus 1. So we get some more action. So here we're going to have a equals 2. B is going to be 1, because remember, this is just like the sine of 1 times x minus pi over 2. We don't need to write the 1. So B is 1. The h is pi over 2. And the k is equal to 1 as well. Let me make this 1 in red so we know which one we're talking about. Okay, so going through these, the a being 2 means that the amplitude is equal to 2. So it's basically 2 units tall. So 2 units away from the midline or the middle line. The b, this controls the period, and the period is normally 2 pi. So it's just going to stay at 2 pi. Remember, that's how long it takes to recycle and repeat the pattern. H being pi over 2, this translates the graph horizontally, pi over 2 units to the right. So you can see horizontal translation. pi over 2 units to the right. To the right. The k equals 1. This is the midline. I'm going to show you what that is in just a minute. Midline is equal to 1. But what this also does is essentially shift the graph upwards. There's a vertical shift or a vertical translation of 1 unit up. So we can say vertical translation. One unit up. All right, let's hit the graph in there. So I advise drawing the midline at first, especially when you're not going to be plugging and chugging values. So this will be a good way to like base your graph off of. Now, amplitude being 2, the height being 2, the period is 2 pi. But we get to do a translation pi over 2 units to the right. So let's actually draw what the original sine graph looks like. And again, you should have these memorized and practice a lot with these because you want to make sure you know, like, you don't make any of these silly mistakes. I can these very simple, these are very simple names. I've been doing this for for hundreds and hundreds of years, so just practice. The original graph starts at the origin, goes to pi over 2 comma 1, that'll be b. Point C will be at pi comma 0. And we duck under 3 pi over 2 comma negative 1 will be d. And our fifth key point will be at 2 pi comma 0. Put that as e. So this is your original sine graph. Y equals the sine of that. A, B, C, D. Now, starting off with the transformation, translating it or shifting it pi over 2 units to the right is literally put the points pi over 2 units to the right. So A goes to here. A would go here. B would go here. C would go here. D over here. And E over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the K moves it up 1 unit. Then after we move pi over 2 units to the right, we then move these up 1 unit. So starting with here, we move the pi over 2 up 1 unit to here. Now let's call that A prime, or A double prime, I guess. The next one here, moving it up 1 unit, call that B double prime. Next one, move that up 1 unit, C double prime. Where is that B? Oh, sorry, okay. D. So next one, over here, so D double prime. And finally, this one going up to here, E double prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have 5 key points. Now, let me just draw like what this would look like. I know we still have that 2 amplitude, but let me just show you kind of what would happen if we did those 2 transformations. See, all this is shifting it to the right and moving it up 1 unit. And that's what it would look like. However, we also have the amplitude to worry about. That just means that the height is 2 units, or it's 2 units tall from the midline. Remember, this is the midline, this red line here. Let's draw a midline from like there again. Because that's where this is where it starts, this is where it ends. Now, if you notice, like 3 of the points, like the A double prime, C double prime, and E double prime are on the midline. What you got to really worry about is the B double prime and the D double prime. And what that means is just move this 2 away. Not 2 away from here, but starting here, 1, 2. That's where it would end up being. Let's call that like, let's call this B quadruple prime, B to the 4th. And then D, 2 units away in the other direction. Or here, so B to the 4th. And so your actual graph, after you apply those 3 transformations, would look like this. It would just be taller. It's starting over there. There we go. Sorry for the messiness, but I forgot to write a pencil. So we're good there. Now for one more. All right, whoa, look at all this craziness. So let's write the equation again in general. Y equals A times the cosine of B times X minus H plus, let's put that in parentheses, plus K outside. So then A is -3, B is 1/2, H is pi over 2, and K is 1. So when A is negative, this is a reflection. It reflects it vertically, so it flips it over. So this is a vertical reflection. But the amplitude or the height is still 3. Amplitude is equal to 3. So you can go maybe make it more formal, vertical reflection and a vertical stretch of factor 3. The B, now we gotta look at the period. Whenever the B is not equal to 1, which has been in 2 examples before, here in this case it's 1/2. So what we do is you use this equation for the period, which will always give you the period, which is the period is equal to 2 pi divided by B, or in this case, 2 pi divided by 1/2, which will be 4 pi. So this stretches this horizontally, makes it, remember the period is normally 2 pi, but we have 4 pi, so the period is twice as long. We can say a horizontal stretch of factor 2. Now the H in pi over 2 does a horizontal translation. Horizontal translation, pi over 2 units to the right. And the K, this would be vertical translation 1 unit up. Let's move it up 1 unit. Vertical translation. One unit up. All these mean combined. So it's not gonna be simple just to do in your head. But here's like a mental technique, that's it. Now, let's start with, let's compare this. Let's first, let me, and bear with me, I know this is gonna be low for you, what I'm getting at. Let's draw a sketch of the original cosine graph, like y equals the cosine of x. Do you remember this? And we have, remember, 5 x values. Not even, or what I'll do. 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi, right? And then the cosine graph will, start at 1, go down to pi over 2, as pi goes to -1, climbs back up at 0, and then over here ends up being back at 1, 2 pi. So remember, this has a period of 2 pi. After if you were to keep on drawing it, it would just cycle back and repeat. Here it goes 2 pi. And this point, remember, is just 1 unit up, with a 0, 1. This point is then at 2 pi comma 1. And this is the amplitude. The amplitude is just the height. So the amplitude equal to 1. This is the original graph of, right, y equals the cosine of x. Now you can plug and chug 5 values into this equation and calculate it, and you'll be fine as long as you do all the work correctly. But you can also just visualize and mentally picture what's going on and draw a sketch of what would happen if you did these transformations to it. So what we have here is, first, let's look at the period. I think I would advise you to do that. The period is going to be twice as long. We're still going to want to divide into 5 points, but the period needs to be twice as long. Period is 2 pi. I'm sorry, period is 4 pi. Now, when you have a horizontal translation, instead of starting at 0, you're just going to start whatever this is. Remove the pi over 2 units to the right, so this one is going to be pi over 2. Since the length of this is 4 pi, you just add 4 pi to pi over 2, which is just 4 pi and a half, or 9 pi over 2. And these are all just 1 pi apart from each other. 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2. You can just divide. Doesn't matter essentially what the values are here, because if this is all 4 pi, it means all of these, it's like from one to the next, they're all just pi units away from each other. So don't worry too much about that. I'm gonna erase that. Okay, so the cosine graph will still have its same general shape, but applied with these applied transformations. So we have a being -3. So what that means is that instead of it being at 0, 1, if it was +3, it would go to 0, 3, right? If it was just 3. But since it's not just +3, it's -3, we just put it down here at 0, -3. This is the first one. And all the other ones, you see that there's 2 middle ones here and here. So the next one's still going to stay in the middle. The next point will still stay in the middle. This point goes like that. And then, see, instead of this point being right here, at the bottom, the middle one will just be at the top. It'll be 3 units up. So it'll be 5 pi over 2, comma 3. And then anybody can see what's going on. We're going to end then down here. Back at 9 pi over 2, comma -3, or comma -3, 9 pi over 2, comma -3. And that's essentially going to be the graph of your transformed, function, or this one right here. That's all that's really going on. So we can just graph this onto here, 0, -3. I'm sorry. Whoa, I messed up. This is pi over 2, comma -3. Almost. It's all good. All the rest works out. Pi over 2, comma -3. Pi over 2, comma -3 over here. Then 3 pi over 2 comma 0. Right here. 5 pi over 2 comma 3. Right there. 1 pi over 2 comma 0. Right there. 9 pi over 2 comma negative 3. So 7. It would be so far there. The opposite field. Oh, no problem. Makes sense of that too. Oh, that's all right. So I'll have to look at it. There we go. That'll be your graph. And remember, you can still cycle, you can still continue, you can still cycle through it on the other end. So instead of being here, you can move it on. Or you can just keep on going. See, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Working this way. Right here. Up 3, all the way there. So forth. There you go. So there's a graph of that. You can always plug and chug the 5 values in if you want and calculate it like that. But this also works. So it's fine. Whew. So I hope that helps. I hope that was explained well enough. But if it wasn't, just give me some feedback. Let me know in the comment section that you're confused. You won't hurt my feelings. I'm just trying to do my best, to help you guys. But if this was useful, that'd be great too. Give me a little like, thumbs up, whatever you guys do. Make me feel better about myself. And make sure you subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.